Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're listening, or maybe even good night, wherever you are listening, and welcome to this week's show on Scarfy's Personal, this week's episode. Today, I'm joined by two fabulous guests, one potentially joining later. Firstly, Kallum, fellow co-host and partner in podcast. How you doing, Kallum?
I'm all good, mate. Thanks for having me on again. It's been a while, but I'm back, and let's get it going.
It's certainly been a while. I'm looking forward to getting into it. I mean, we dived into some of it yesterday, so we're going to go even further. So sorry to put you through this twice after a defeat, I'm sure, but you'll forgive me quite quickly. Mark, first time on the show, how are you doing?
Thanks for having me. For a Monday after a defeat, not too bad. Not too bad.
As far as Mondays go.
Looking forward to getting into the nuts and bolts of yesterday.
Look forward to getting into it as well. Big up to everyone in the chat listening live on YouTube. Some of the comments from before I went live, so massively appreciate it. Big up to each and every single one of you. But before we crack into it, if you are new to the channel, don't forget to smash the subscribe button because it helps the channel grow, helps the show grow, and it is free to do so. Recently surpassed 1,300 subscribers, so thank you very much for that. If you are listening though afterwards on any other podcast platform, Spotify, Amazon Music, Apple Music, or wherever you get your podcast platforms, don't forget to give us a follow and a 5-star review because that'd be massively appreciated. But before we start, the boring bit, as I like to say, and that is the sponsorship message. Because now we love diving into the action on the pitch. Today we're stepping off the pitch for a second to talk about a game changer in online security, which is our new partners, Security VPN. You guys know better than me how critical it is to stay safe online these days, especially when you're streaming matches, getting into online forums, or even doing a bit of sports betting. That's why we partner with Security VPN for the long term, the ultimate money-saving tool for cyber safety. You wouldn't want to play football without your shin pads, right? Well, I hope not. Well, Security VPN is like the ultimate defense for your online life. Let's just say Security VPN lets you navigate the online world with the same confidence as James Maddison when he's fit on the ball. So stick around and find out how you can get exclusive discounts only for our dedicated viewers. Because Wednesday, we've got a special video that I've sat down and done with Dan for our new partner, Security VPN, launching a big discount this Christmas, so stay tuned. Now that's over, let's crack into it. Favourite bit once that's done, because you know it's talking Tottenham now, but obviously not as good after we've lost. So, Mark, I want to come to you first. I want to know your thoughts on the lineup before the game, but for people who don't know, the lineup was Vicario, Porro, Davis, Emerson, Adoki. It's the back four, Kulusevski, Bentancur, and Lo Celso midfield with Johnson, Son, and Gill up top. So, what did you make of that team? Because obviously Emerson came in for Dyer, at centre back, and we had three midfielders. You haven't started a game this season so far.
I think I tweeted on Friday that I thought Emerson would start at centre back. I just think he has more footballing ability. But you lose some of the height and the strength in the air that Dyer can give you. The surprise was Kallum in the 10, and I actually thought he did really, really well. Hill is very Marmite. I mean, you talk to fans, and some love him, and some just don't want him anywhere near the starting lineup. But I thought with what he had available, I thought that there really wasn't many other permutations he could have used.
Okay, fair enough. Kallum, talk me through that team. We briefly discussed it yesterday. Any surprises in there, and do you think it kind of worked apart from the result?
I'm the same line as Mark. I think it had its ups and downs about it. We knew that it was always going to be a 50-50 between Dyer and Emerson, and we knew that Dyer had a bad game last time, so Ange went with it. When you look at it, there could have been better options, but players just should have played better. Simple as that. So I think with what we had available, I'd have probably gone with it within reason, to be honest, as well.
Okay, fair enough. Let us know, guys, if you're listening live on YouTube as well, what you thought of that team. But I want to go straight into it, into the third minute, because I want to know, should we have had a penalty? Because there's an elbow by Diego Carlos on Brian Gill, and also a potential handball lots of people didn't see in that build-up. So, Kallum, I don't know if you've seen it, but should we have had a penalty there?
I think in real time when I looked at it, I was thinking, yeah, penalty. But it always looks worse when a big guy, Diego Carlos's height of about 6'5", takes out Brian Hill with about 4 foot nothing. So it did look worse. When I've looked back at it now, 50-50 for me, 50-50, mate.
Okay, fair enough. Again, it's that consistency that we want. If it's not going to be given there, we don't want it to be given next week. I think we can all agree on that. Mark, what do you make of it? Obviously you saw it first live, and now looking back at it now.
I didn't see the elbow at the time, and we were at that end looking at that angle. I saw the handball, and I thought there was more at the time. I thought there was more ball to arm, but actually he was falling backwards, and it just hit him. So that's neither here nor there. I think the elbow it's one of those. If the referee sees it and he gives it, there is no way that's getting overturned. Well, it was never going to get overturned anyway because they couldn't review the pictures on pitchside monitor for the first 7 minutes of yesterday's game, and it just so happens there may have been a contentious issue for the referee to have had a look at in those 7 minutes. But I don't know. It's one of those that if it's given against you, you're up in arms. If it's given for you, you take it. But we've not had one this season, so a penalty that is 13, 12 games.
No,
in,
fair
games
enough.
in.
Yeah, it's that consistency we want to see, but I think it's interesting, and it's one that's definitely divided opinion among the football fan base. But positive stuff now, because we did take the lead for the 22nd minute through Lo Celso's deflected shot, which was his first goal of the season, second I think in a Spurs shirt. Correct me if I'm wrong, guys. So yeah, coming to you, Kallum, what did you make of the goal and our start?
Our start was really positive, and when you look at the stats around leading up to the goal that he scored, we'd hit the post, we'd done so much good stuff in there, and then with a little bit of luck, like you said last night, without the deflection probably going into Martinez's arms, but to have Gio scoring is what we wanted. We wanted him to be stepping up to take on Maddison's role. So to actually go 1-0 up was very positive, and I was happy for once instead of just looking at stats and going, oh, we've done so well on stats, but it's 2 big zeros.
Yeah, exactly. And welcoming on to the podcast for the first time, Peter, known as Porro SZN on Twitter. How are you doing?
I'm all right, thank you. Thank you for having me on. How are you guys?
It's great. Yeah, it's great to have you on, to kind of bring you in into this conversation. Yeah, what did you make of our start? Like, we took the lead, didn't we, for the 22nd minute? Do you think we could go on and push on from them? What do you make of Lo Celso's goal?
Well, honestly, I thought that those first 20 minutes was some of the best football we played all season. I mean, we should have been 3 or 4-0 up, and personally, and I think Lo Celso's goal obviously got lucky with the deflection, but overall, I think he had a good game, it was a good finish, and I think we really should have capitalised on the great start we had.
Yeah, we certainly should have. Thank you very much, Peter. Mark, what did you make of our start? Because obviously, like myself, you were there. Do you think we could push on? Because I certainly did when the ball hit the back of the net.
Yeah, I thought it was we took the lead, and deservedly so. I've seen the Kallum one that hit the post. How he doesn't actually find the bottom corner, I still can't even work that one out. And I'd completely forgotten that a doggy was clean through in the 2nd minute and blazed over the bar when all they had to do was probably lift it over the keeper. I mean, I'd completely forgotten about that chance. So yeah, when we took the lead, I thought, yeah, fully deserved. But we'll come to the turn. What I think was the turning point of the game. But we'll come to that in a minute. Yeah, no, it was. Kallum said we played really, really well. When you consider who was missing yesterday, and you've got 2 of the best ball-playing centre-backs in Romero and Van der Ven, you've got no Maddison, no Bissouma, no Sarr, and even the likes of Richarlison and Solomon, Perisic. I mean, who realised when Perisic got injured for the season that we'd actually miss his coming on and playing the last sort of 15, 20 minutes as almost like a finisher, just to manage the game at the end. So
yeah, absolutely
positive stuff first 20 minutes or so.
Yeah, what went wrong? We will get into that. Great start. Kallum, so we are going to move on to Marc in particular, but I know you're all waiting to go on to this. A lot of people in the chat as well are here for this reason. Matty Cash's tackle. So Kallum, should he have seen red for it? Because obviously Bentancur, first game back since January, just come back from an ACL injury. For me, has no intent on playing the ball. So what do you make of it?
What's the best way of doing this in the nicest, politest possible way about someone I really don't like as a player? I think that if you make a challenge with that intent, which he did to go and injure Bentancur, and he's done it with Doherty last year, and definitely one potential career-ending one, and then a reoccurrence on an ACL. I think he should have seen red. But a lot of people were saying that he was good just to get yellow. So I definitely think it was red, but people have said 50-50s all day, and it's one of them where I have to disagree with a lot of people and say, yeah, he's a dirty, nasty player, and he deserves to see red there.
Thank you very much, Kallum. I was impressed you went, that little bit without swearing. Can't say the same for last night, but thank you very much for that. Peter, coming to you next. What do you make of the tackle? Is it a red card for you? Is it a 50-50?
Yeah, I think it's a 50-50. I think if there was one, it would be an orange card, in my opinion. I think there was no intention to win the ball. He just wanted to get the man. It was a bit reckless as well, but I don't know. It was quite a red.
Yeah, no, I actually agree with you on this one. You want that card in the middle, that orange card. This is perfect. So no intentional win the ball. It isn't high. It probably isn't that dangerous, or violent conduct. It's red, but it's a little bit more than a yellow. So I agree with you on that. But Marc, coming to you, I know you want to talk about this. I saw your activity on X now, as it's called this morning. Talk to me kindly, if you can, about the Matty Cash tackle and if it's a red card or not.
I'm just going to read you a tweet that Mark Housey, the former Premier League referee, replied to something I said this morning. Hi, Mark. I think this is about the elbow. I think it's very difficult for the referee to recognise the intensity of this challenge in real time, but you have to ask yourself what on earth they were doing at Stockley Park. Yeah. I also thought Matty Cash should have seen red for his poor challenge. That's a former Premier League referee. Now, I've seen this challenge from so many different angles, and I've seen still images, which always I try and sort of take with a little bit of a pinch salt. But as Biran has just said, Bentancur was going away from goal. He was just outside our penalty area. Why put the challenge in the first place? The ball is long gone. It's more than 2 yards away by the time he makes contact with Bentancur's leg. That tells you how late it was. Excessive force, endangering an opponent. I can understand what Peter's saying. It was an orange card. But what I can't get my head round is that tackle gets the same sanction, a yellow card, as a player taking his shirt off. And that for me is not right. That is just not right. So is it the time for sin bins? And we could do a whole show on this.
Yeah, no, exactly. It can definitely go on. But yeah, red card for you think?
I was surprised it wasn't, just because of the force of the challenge. It was dangerous.
Okay.
And he could have done a lot more damage than apparently he has done.
Yeah, I'm hoping it's okay. I think it's reported it's Bentancur's ankle, so hopefully he is okay, which is a relief if you know what I mean. But for me, he has no intention on playing the ball cash. He knows what he's doing. He's frustrated because Villa just conceded. I think they had the goal disallowed as well. So he's frustrated at the time and has lashed out unnecessarily because, Bentancur was going to glide past him because Cash couldn't do anything in his power apart from that to stop him. So, yeah, don't like to see that in the game. But I hate to get onto it, but in the 7th minute of added time in the first half, that's when Villa got their equaliser. Free kick by Douglas Luiz and scored by Pau Torres. I don't know how many times over the past 3-4 years that we conceded just before half time, often from free kicks. So Pau Torres we were linked to for a start. Marc, coming to you, is it a good goal, bad defending, or a bit of both?
It's poor defending. It really is. And And the reason I say that is because if you've got one of Romero or Van de Ven there, that goal doesn't happen. The ball travelled 40 yards nearly. How can you have a free header 2 yards, 3 yards inside the penalty area when the ball's travelled that far? Surely you pick up your man. And Match of the Day 2 sort of highlighted the space between Davis and Emerson a few times yesterday on their highlights show last night, and it's not something I noticed again while I was at the game. But apparently as well, that's the first headed goal from a set piece we've conceded this season.
Yeah,
which also then goes to tell you how good Van de Ven and Romero have been.
Yeah, that presence that they offer. Very, very frustrating. I think it was personally poor. But Kallum, what do you reckon? Bad defending? Sort of discussed this, didn't we, briefly yesterday? Class from Villa, good ball in the box, header by Pau Torres. Is there anything we could have done?
So difficult, but theoretically, if it's come from a set piece, giving away a free kick, if we've got any common sense, we don't give away free kicks on the stroke of half time, don't expose ourselves to pressure. If you ever give away a free kick, you invite pressure, but when you do it on the stroke of half time, it's all about mentality. And we've said this season we've had a strong mentality. Yesterday we didn't have a strong enough mentality to manage the game in the proper way. So I think it's about game management as well as poor defending, to be honest. Like Mark said, it's a bit of space here, a bit of space there, but unless you've got someone that's about 6'9" right up there, then it's 50-50, to be honest, to say if it's going or not.
For me, I'm going to give Villa credit because I thought it was a good ball by Douglas Luiz. Very sweet. Pau Torres, right player on the end of it. Good goal, but it's just the basics to defend set pieces. It's pretty much the last kick of the half. You've got to hold out. So to not do that, for me, it's a mentality thing. But Peter, bringing you onto it, because Kallum did mention that mentality thing. Is it a mentality thing for you, or do you just put it down to it's a really good set piece by Villa and nothing we can do?
Yeah, I think we've got to give credit where credit is due to Villa. It was a fantastic goal. But I do agree with Kallum. I think it was a very avoidable free kick. I mean, it was poor to give it away on the stroke of half time, like he was saying. I know there was loads of minutes added on, but there was about literally as soon as kickoff happened after that goal, the ref blew for the half time. So if we cleared that free kick, we could have gone 1-0 up, would have been a different story. But I'm not sure if it's a mentality thing, because I feel like this season we have coped well with a lot of the pressure that has come our way. I just think it was a very avoidable free kick, but a fantastic goal on Villa's half.
Yeah, thank you very much. Completely agree with you. Luca, answering your question, and anyone else who wants to know this, towards the end of the show, we will get through all your questions. There's quite a lot today, probably the most we've had for a long while, but we will get through them. So just bear with us. That'll be towards the end of the show, around about 9 p.m. But yeah, we had so many chances in that first half. Like we've discussed, big ones for Adoki, big one for Kulusevski. So, Peter, coming back to you, were you thinking, worried at half time that it'll come back to haunt us, or did you just think in the second half we'd take our chances? Because we didn't in the end, did we?
Absolutely. I think first 20 minutes, like I said before, we should have been about 3-4 up, and I think any Villa fan would agree with us here. So those missed chances really costed us in the end, because second half we looked a bit tired. I don't know what it was. We didn't seem match fit around the 70th minute. We didn't have that same intensity in the press. Same chance creation. It just seemed like our whole overall performance dropped off to what it was in the first half. So I think the missed chances really did cost us.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Thank you very much. Mark, what do you make of the missed chances in the first half? What ones should be put away, and why haven't they been put away?
I think definitely the Kulu one. I think the Udogi one. I think he should have done a lot better than he did. Hill maybe should have squared it. There was a couple of other opportunities where he sort of seemed to rush things, which is unusual for him because he's quite a technical player, and you expect sometimes he takes a touch. And it was just a shame that none of those chances fell to Sonny, because he showed his finishing with the one that he ran through and was offside. It was just such a great finish, and he shouldn't be getting caught offside there. He was wide. He was looking straight along the line. And they're not going to catch him. even though he's
No.
lost a yard of pace in the last year or so. They wouldn't have caught him, and he still finished it. But I did have that horrible feeling at halftime that it's going to, as poor as Villa have been away from home this season, I just thought with the defense that we had and losing Bentancur and that control in the middle of the park, and they obviously took cash off at halftime. I mean, that was, you probably couldn't have got a price on the odds of taking cash off at halftime. But they also brought Bailey on, who's always, it can be a real thorn. And he's quick and he's tricky. And I just thought we've let him back into the game and we could live to regret this.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's certainly what I was thinking at half-time. I tweeted that as well at half-time, but I was kind of thinking to myself, I think we've left it too late. We've had too many chances. Kallum, yeah, what do you make of our missed chances? Frustrating more than anything, because we played so well, right? We can accept it. All our problems. We lose 2-1 to Villa, big top 4 contender, but it's the fact we played well and deserve something more, right?
Exactly, mate. Exactly. Missed chances, mistimed runs as well. Anything in regards to I think didn't Son have one goal ruled offside in the first half as well? There was a couple of tap-ins even that he should have scored, even though he was offside. There was just simple chances which we didn't take, and like the guys have all alluded to, being slow, not active enough, not being clinical enough. And to be honest, then when you bring on your old mate Højbjerg, mate, and took a little bit out of it and slowed it all down up to half time, that reduced all the chances accordingly.
What do I say? I'm not going to say anything at all. So Villa made 2 changes at the break, including bringing Matty Cash off. Peter, is that, like Mark says, it's going to happen, wasn't it? And what do you make of that? Is it clever, though, by Unai Emery?
Yeah, very clever. I mean, he made another challenge after he got that orange card, I guess. And he was lucky to not get a second yellow. So I thought Unai Emery played it very smart there, subbed him off. Brought on Yuri Tielemans, who I thought played really well, actually. Controlled the midfield while we kind of lost stamina a bit when taking Bentancur off. We lost that energy in the midfield. And I think, it was a really smart play from Unai Emery.
Yeah, absolutely. Mark, talk me through Villa's 2 changes at half-time. So Matty Cash was one of them to come off. Tielemans came on. They also brought off Diaby. I don't know what that was to do with, but they brought Diaby off for Bailey, and I thought Diaby's been good this season. Didn't really, fit in. Didn't really offer anything in that first half, and Bailey did in that second half. So was it clever by Unai Emery?
Well, I think it looked like he started with a 4-4-2, and Cash was playing in midfield. So
yeah, correct.
But and that's obviously you're away from home. Maybe you go with a right back in inverted commas on the right side of midfield just to be a bit more defensive. But on the yellow card, it was a no-brainer taking him off. And Bailey, obviously, having got the equaliser, he obviously smelt blood and thought they could win the game and bring on the more offensive Bailey. Diaby's a strange one because he's been so good.
Yeah.
And I'm really not a Yuri Tielemans fan. All through his time at Leicester, I just think he's lazy. He's slow. I mean, look what happened when we had the Bergwijn game up there. It was his misplaced pass that led to our winning goal, and that just sums up Yuri Tielemans for me. He's got great technical ability, but I just find him a little bit. Another one is probably a bit Marmite with me. I don't think he's that. I don't think he's better than what we've got.
Fair enough. We'll get on to it. We did get an assist for Villa's second goal, but no, fair enough. At times he was perhaps inconsistent for Leicester. We'll get on to that. But I don't know about you, but guys, but what really annoyed me, right, is when they moved Concert to right back because they took Matty Cash off. That then we stopped putting balls in the box. Then we brought Valise on that central presence, and we stopped putting even less balls in the box when you want to be putting more balls in the box. So for me personally, that really bugged me being there myself. But Kallum, coming to you next. 2 changes half-time that we've discussed by Unai Emery. Clever. Do you think that led to them winning the game? It contribute?
It definitely removed a weak link that we could have used to exploit. If they kept Cash on, we could have kept trying to run down that side. Maybe he'd have swung out a leg, because he was already giving repetitive fouls away after his first yellow, and it definitely changed the dynamic a little bit. I mean, I'm like Mark. Tielemans is definitely a hit and miss type of player. He's never been that consistent. He's always did a bit, but not enough. And I mean, you can see that with Emre this year. He hasn't really favoured him, but to come on and do what he did, it was a change. And it showed the options they could bring off the bench to come on compared to our options within reason to actually change something up. And when you do have them options, it's actually nice to have. And they definitely did have an impact one way or another on the game, because obviously they came away winning it.
Couldn't we have put Forster at centre back? We did have 2 keepers on the bench.
What was that? 2 keepers, and then they had 1 less sub as well, or something like that, I believe, yesterday.
Yeah.
So
we only had
unless they've tried to avoid paying the appearance fee that you have going on a bench or something like that.
Actually, question to you, Kallum. Is Ange trying to prove a point to Levy, though, ahead of the January transfer market, though, by doing that? I think Conte and Mourinho tried similar. What do you reckon?
Maybe trying to prove a point, but at the end of the day, like I said last night, Ange sanctioned Sanchez going, Ange sanctioned all of these players leaving. Yeah, he might not have gotten everyone that he wanted, but it's a project. So he's not going to get everyone at one go. But then when Ange has got very consistent young players in the youth setup who are probably at least good enough to get on the bench, and you stick 2 goalkeepers on and then drop 1 sub off of there, maybe it's him being stubborn. Maybe he's just going, well, this is what I've got, deal with it, and I'll show what happens and then see where January is.
Yeah, maybe. But in the 61st minute, painful stuff here. Goal by Ollie Watkins. I think we all kind of, tried to ignore the fact it was coming, but I think we all had deep down knew that it was only a matter of time. It was assisted by Mark's favourite, Yuri Tielemans. So since it's your favourite, Mark, I'm going to come to you first. Was it a well-taken goal by Watkins?
It was a very, very well-taken goal, but as I said, the space between Emerson and Davis was just... It was like the Atlantic Ocean. I mean, it was so wide that I think even my mother, who's 81, could have probably nipped between the 2 defenders. I just want to clarify something here. You said Tielemans got an assist. Let's not forget Tom Carroll got an assist for Gareth Bale scoring that goal at West Ham. That still goes down in the. There you go. There you go. I think it was a really good finish from a player I like an awful lot. I think Watkins is a very much a Tottenham type player. We're not going to get him, unfortunately, because he cost way too much now. But I think it was avoidable. I think it was completely avoidable.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Yeah, avoidable.
Just frustrating to concede a good goal, but a sloppy goal.
Yeah, for me, there's no errors in the goal, but it's like, there's lots of opportunities to make a tackle. We kind of back off, and we made it, easy for Villa. Good finish by Watkins, but he was allowed too much space for me. Peter, anything we could have done? Mark, thinks we could have done more, or do you think it's just a good strike by Ollie Watkins?
Well, obviously, it was a great finish from Ollie Watkins. Like Mark touched on, I think the space between Emerson and Davis was way too big. I mean, especially when we know the qualities that Watkins has, when in front of goal. I mean, he's now England striker as well now. So we obviously know his qualities. I feel like we allowed him too much space. And the frustrating thing is that if we had Van der Ven, maybe, that we probably don't concede that goal, do we? That's just the most frustrating thing about it.
Yeah, it's the frustrating thing, isn't it? The simple things with Romero, but in particular Van der Ven that we would have dealt with. Kallum, talk to me through that painful moment and where you were and what you were doing at the time of Villa's goal and your reaction to it as well.
I was eating a steak in Stevenage, and that nearly got launched across the restaurant. Let's put it that way. my other half was sitting next to me, and in no uncertain terms, I went, F this, what's going on? and it was really inappropriate. And it was really not good, and I was so frustrated. But it, like the guys both alluded to, it was a really good finish. But it's what you get from having fullbacks as centre backs. They're not going to have the positional awareness to pick that up. And I mean, pace for pace, you could probably say Emerson maybe could match Watkins, but Davis definitely can't. And to expect them to pick that up is very much a difficult one. In truth, though, we never really recovered from the 45th plus 7th minute. Yeah, we had a couple of chances, but it was all leading up to that. So Villa already knew that they were going for blood, and we just had no ideas. So I think we allowed them to score that.
Yeah, no, okay, fair enough. Peter, horrible stuff here, but 3 losses in a row, 3 out of 3 of the month. What do you make of kind of our November? And is it still been a good start to the season and just bad recently? Or how does the kind of start to the season look now for you?
Well, obviously, after that amazing start, I think no one else would have predicted. I mean, it is disappointing to lose 3 games where we maybe could have got results out of, but I don't think we can blame anyone but ourselves, especially for the Chelsea game. Lack of concentration, maybe with the red cards. But I think it's been a really good start to the season, more than I think what most Spurs fans would have expected. So I'm still really happy with the start we had. I'm just hoping for a better December.
Fair enough. There you go. Let's hope we do get a better December. Absolutely agree. Mark's nodding. You're nodding there. Do you completely agree? And what do you make of our start to the season?
I think if anyone had offered us 26 points after 12 games or 13 games, whatever it is, most Spurs fans would have bitten their arms off. We've had we were lucky against Liverpool. We fell in our favour. I thought we were more than a match for Arsenal at the Emirates. We were way better than Man United. Yeah, they created a few chances, but we controlled that game. That's what's impressed me. I mean, the Chelsea game is just a freak game. We lost our heads. We lost 2 players, and then we lost two more through injury. You'll never see a game, or you won't see another game like that in 20 years. I can almost guarantee that. The Wolves and the Villa game are really, really grating on me now, because we should have won both of those. To concede 2 in stoppage time, yes, we did it to Sheffield United, but Wolves should never have had those chances to score. And we missed enough chances to win 2 games yesterday. So frustrated the last couple of results, but overall, at least you can see there is a plan. You can see there are tactics. You can see who can carry those out and who can't.
It's about the long-term project, isn't it, Mark?
Yeah,
it's about
absolutely. The ones that can't will be gone by next summer. You can almost guarantee that. And he said all along, it will take 2 or 3 windows to get where he wants to be. I mean, we've basically changed half our starting 11, including most of the defence and the goalkeeper, this year. Porro, Van der Ven, Udogie, and Vicario are all new. Bissouma's like a new player. Sarr's like a new player. Maddison is a new player. Yeah. Johnson's a new player. So there is so much change. And to be where we are after a third of the season, I'm actually really impressed.
Yeah. Also, me also. A reminder, sorry to have to do this, but anyone listening live on YouTube, in the comments, anyone sends any abuse or is rude to any of my guests or myself, they will be removed with immediate effect. One more comment today, because I think some people being over the top in the chat, you will be removed. So don't say you haven't been warned. But now, Kallum, I want to come to you actually before I get on to player of the match, because I kind of want to discuss it. What do you make of our season? We discussed it on Parkland Podcast. Is it still a good start, but bad recently, or is it kind of, I don't know, not as good?
To be honest, yeah, it has been a good start, and to go on me, but within reason, like Mark said, we've got a whole new first starting lineup. The only problem that I have with it is that all the players that were in the original starting lineup before these guys coming in, they've all dropped to bench positions. So that's where then the issues come of the squad depth, the weaknesses that we're all talking about. So when we're trying to put into perspective how well our season has been, yeah, it's been good. We've had the losses, we've had the injuries, but if we can get some positivity behind it, I don't think from this coming game, but at least into December, January, then yeah, to be sort of 5th, 6th, that's where we was kind of thinking about to start with.
Yeah. No, absolutely. We keep in and around, for me, that top 6 until January, and we get not only investment, but mainly the recruitment right. We get our players back there. I believe we can have a strong second half of the season. I still wouldn't write off top 4, top 5 just yet. It's not very good at the moment, but I think it's still achievable. But now on to player of the match. So Mark, coming to you, who is your player of the match?
I'm going to give it to Lo Celso. I've been humming and hawing between him and Kulu. I just think Lo Celso actually proved what he can do.
Yeah.
I think put some lovely through balls in the first half. His ball retention was really good. His work rate was really good. And he got the goal, albeit via a deflection, but it was on target. It was a great shot, great hit. And that is the sort of Lo Celso I thought we'd bought 3 years ago, was it? I can't even remember when we signed him. 3 years?
2019, wasn't it?
4 years.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Time flies.
Time does fly, certainly does. Let's hope it can work out for him. Peter, give me your man of the match and why.
I completely agree with Mark here. I think Lo Celso was man of the match. I mean, it was almost the form that he's shown for Argentina before, but never really shown for Spurs. And
Yes.
I'm glad he's finally implemented it into Spurs. And I also agree with Mark. I think Kulusevski had a fantastic game, especially in the new role, the way he was linking up play, the little flicks he was doing. But I have to give it to Lo Celso. He was quality yesterday, I have to admit. I know he ran out of steam towards the end, but he was really fantastic, especially in that first half.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Couldn't agree more with you. Kallum, so talk to me about your man of the match. I don't know if we discussed it yesterday, but give me your man of the match.
I don't think we touched on it yesterday, but we kind of alluded to a couple of good players, a couple of strengths, weaknesses, all of that stuff. So
if you could pick one, who would be your standout performer?
Probably I'd ditto what the guys have said. I think Lo Celso, for his first start, he did himself justice. But what we've got to hope for is that this is consistent with him and not just like what he's always done. 3 good games, 20 rubbish.
Let's hope there's that consistency that we're all after. But yeah, Peter, coming back to you, because I want to touch on an individual or two first. I want to know what you thought of Brennan Johnson's performance. Obviously, on the right, for me, he was a bit quiet. So what do you make of him? Does he still have a place in this team for you, like when Richarlison comes back?
I absolutely think he does have a place in this team. I agree with you. I feel like we didn't really utilize him as much as we probably should have yesterday, because there was a time where I think it was Digne, he beat for pace and managed to get a cross away, but we never really got the ball out that right-hand side as often as we probably should have. It almost seemed like we were forcing it down to Brian Gill's side. Maybe there was a weakness they spotted with the Matty Cash and Konsa right back. But I don't know. I think he does have a place when Richarlison comes back, because I think we know Brennan Johnson's qualities. He's got the pace. He's got the technical ability. He's got the finishing as well. We've seen it at Wolves away. I think he is our starting right winger or left winger, wherever Ange thinks his best position is.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. Kallum, what do you make of Gill's performance? So he chucked in there the first time of the season. I think he done a lot, was busy, a lot of effort put in. So yeah, what do you make of his performance and what can he go and improve on to make him even better?
I think he was good as a street footballer. He likes his tricks, he likes his flicks, his round the corner sort of stuff. The problem is it's his end product. Well, that and not being strong enough. How long's he been in now? Nearly 2-3 years. Even he hasn't bulked up one bit, to be honest. So a good performance for what it was, but he didn't set the world alight, to be honest, mate. So when when you have that, you kind of hope that he does something different. And I don't think he offered any more than, say, if you have Richarlison playing on the left. That's the problem. There's nothing more that he's done apart from a couple of others. So definitely, I wouldn't run to play Hill as a starter anytime soon, to be honest, mate.
Okay, fair enough. Who knows? I think it's definitely a player in there, but as you said, final end product. That final third needs to be improved. One of many, though, I think. But Mark, coming to you, I want to know your thoughts on Emerson's performance, because obviously he stepped in instead of Eric Dyer, because Dyer was arguably, lots of people think, a fault for both goals against Wolves. So Emerson came in. What do you make of his performance?
I feel with the ball, he was okay. He was better than okay. He's got very good footballing ability, passing ability, and I think that's why Ange used him yesterday. But you could see that it was 4 fullbacks at the back and not 2 centre backs and 2 fullbacks. You could see that Davis and Emerson had never played alongside each other at centre back. There was just no communication, and I think the onus is on one or other of them to take that by the scruff of the neck and talk to the other one. And I'd put that on Davis, being the more experienced player, being the player that's probably played centre back a lot more. He was in a back 3 of centre backs last season for a lot of the time, and that's what was really disappointing. Just to hark back to something I said on Twitter a couple of weeks ago after the Chelsea game, is when Udogie did that sliding 2-footed lunge and got away with it, that's when you need your captain to grab hold of him and talk to him. And it's the one thing Sonny doesn't do. And Davis should have, as the most experienced of all the defenders back there, he should have grabbed hold of Emerson and said, right, you need to get closer, or we need to do this. Or just little tactical tweaks within the game, proper game management. And you can see Romero and Van de Ven have already built that relationship very quickly, and they trust each other,
which is important. That trust,
very important.
So important, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna go around the houses now, and do you know what? I don't want an explanation. I just want a position, because I want to know where you think we'll be come the 1st of January, so New Year's Day. So that's a horrible thought, I know. But I just want a place. No reason why it could go in any random order. I'm going to start with you, Kallum. Where will we be come New Year's Day?
5th.
I think it's quite positive. Peter?
I agree with Kallum. I think we'll be 5th.
Oh, do you know, I'd absolutely take that. Mark?
I'm going to be even more positive. 4th.
Oof, wow. I'm loving it. Fair enough. I like it. Very, very good. But no, moving on, because I do want to preview our next game against Manchester City. So firstly, going back to you, Mark, hands on your head. How are you feeling, if I may ask, ahead of the game? And what would your lineup look like at the moment?
As I said, I think from, I don't know whether it was pre-show, that strangely I'd play Dyer in this one because I think you need some height and physicality back there. I know that sounds strange. I would not play Hill up against Walker. I just think it's pointless. I'd play Brennan Johnson because he'd give him a good foot race and keep him honest.
Yeah, that's true.
So I'd probably go Johnson, Son, Kallum on the wide right, with Lo Celso in the 10. Bissouma's back. Sarr could be back. So we could be a lot stronger in midfield. Weirdly, as I walked out yesterday, I said to my son, and in fact, we said it almost at the same time, it's the sort of game we'll go and win. It would be so typically Spurs.
So Tottenham-like, yeah, exactly.
Sonny loves scoring against City. I mean, he's got an absolute hatful against them. Pep hates playing against us. It's more so away than at home. But it's one of those where they are expected to win because of the players we've got missing. And we could very well do a number. I don't expect us to, but it wouldn't surprise me. But I don't think we'll get pumped.
I hope you're right. I hope you're right, but I can't see it. Do you know what I mean? I obviously want us to win the game, but it's just frustrating when you go, like even right now, we're only 4 points off Manchester City. We beat them, that's 1 point off. And we've done that against Wolves. We got to 90 minutes winning, and we played really well against Aston Villa. I came away with nothing. For me, that really, really helped me.
I learned a long time ago you can't go through a season thinking that, because every team has their games where they thought, oh, should have won that, or could have won that. Have we not dropped points here, or have we not dropped points there? It is what it is. It's the beauty of a 38-game Premier League season. It's like a roller coaster, unless you're Man City. Then it's more like just a train.
Very true. Peter, sorry to ask you this, but how do you feel about your game at the moment? I can't even think about it. It's awful thought, but I don't know what you think. And what would your kind of lineup look like after what we've seen yesterday?
Honestly, I'm trying to stay as positive as I can for the game next Sunday. But I mean, last time we lost three on the bounce going into a game at the Etihad, we ended up beating them 3-2, didn't we? So there's always room to stay positive. But I agree with Mark. My team would be very, very similar to Mark. I'm just hoping that maybe the midfield, Bentancur, if possible, could be back in that starting 11. I know he was seen limping away from the stadium yesterday, but I'm hoping he will be back. And I agree. I'd put Brennan Johnson out on the left ahead of Brian Gill, just to almost pace for pace with Kyle Walker. I think he can do him over maybe once or twice, and maybe we can get a bit of joy down that left-hand side.
Oh, let's hope so. Positivity, love it. Thank you very much. Definitely not. I woke up this morning and saw Spurs advertising Man City games. Like, go away. I can't even think about that at the moment. But Kallum, coming to you next. Talk to me about the Manchester City games. Save your score prediction for a minute. But yeah, what would your kind of lineup look like in terms of what Peter and Mark have given us?
I've been thinking about it while the guys have been talking, and this is probably more towards a football manager-esque sort of lineup, hopefully how you'd like to go. But I would actually be ambitious and go that, like Mark said, if you're going to do centre-backs, you go Davis, Dyer. I'd play Emerson at right-back. I would then put Porro in front of him on right wing, push Porro all the way up, Kulu in the 10, Johnson left, Son up top, with then Basuma and Saab behind them. I know Lo Celso had a good game yesterday, but different dynamic, different type of game. Unless you do play maybe a Basuma or Lo Celso alongside each other, it's very much a weird and wacky idea that's never going to happen. But you never know. You never know. It could give them a game. It could give them some sort of idea where if we overload their fullbacks,
does actually make sense. I've often thought Emerson and Porro could play one in front of the other, but no one's ever tried.
To be fair, Mark, I thought about that against Aston Villa. Not being funny because of the way they play with their high fullbacks. So who knows? I guess we'll have to see what team is put out. Now on to the difficult bit. Where maybe not be quite as positive, and that is your score prediction. I don't want to know why. I just want your score prediction. Go in any random order. Mark looks like he's dreading it first, so I'm going to go to him first to be awkward. Mark, give me your score prediction.
2-3.
To us or to City?
To us. Why not?
Wow.
Just put it out there.
Wow, blimey.
I'll take the abuse all week on X for that.
Love it.
But Peter, if I'm right, I'm coming back next Monday.
Well, we know. Peter, is yours as positive? Wow.
No, unfortunately, mine's not as positive. I think City will win 2-1. I think they'll win 2-1.
Fair enough. Kallum, obviously you gave your prediction last night with people who didn't see that.
Oh, you're going to hold me to it, aren't you? You're going to hold me to it.
Mine's worse.
I went, was it 4-1 City I think, wasn't it?
4-1, I went 5-1, didn't I?
Yeah, so I mean, me and you were really negative, to say the least.
Yeah. But, however, it just been a couple of hours after the game yesterday, which we gave our score prediction. I just got it literally in the door. So
it was very frustrated and miffed off. So, yeah, definitely. If you always hope your score prediction's going to be beaten if you predict a loss. So if we come in and, like Mark said, 3-2 Spurs or 3-2 City, that's better than a 5-1 spanking and all that, mate. Let's put it that way.
For me, as long as we stay in the game, we fight until the end because forgetting the result aside, like against Aston Villa, I was impressed. I mean, toe to toe for pretty much 90 minutes ish, with a big top 4 contender, and that's where we want to be this season with all our injuries and suspensions as well. So I was impressed with that. It's just a shame because we were the better team for me anyway, and we deserved more. Now, another question that this time I just want a number, and it is how this is really, really tough. A lot of people struggle with this. How many points will we get from our next 5 Premier League fixtures after, how many will we get next 5? So the next 5 for people who don't know are Manchester City away, West Ham at home, Newcastle at home, Forest away, Everton at home. I can repeat that if you need it. That's Manchester City away, West Ham at home, Newcastle at home, Forest away, and Everton at home. Kallum, wow. How many points are you getting for those 5 games?
I'm going to go 7. I think 7's quite a fair number, I would say.
Do you know, I think that's fairly positive considering some of the fixtures there. Mark, I can see you thinking about it. What are you thinking?
I'm thinking 10 or 11.
Wow.
I think we'll get. I think there'll be. I think we'll beat Forest and Everton, and I think we'll beat West Ham. West Ham is in a Europa League week.
Yes, it is in
so
Europa League week.
I think that's a key. Newcastle as well is the last Champions League week game. It's either before or just after. Although, having said that, if they lose in Paris on Wednesday night, they're out. So all those Geordie fans will be quiet for a little while. They gave it the biggin in the summer about being in the Champions League, and they could be out by match day 5.
And they had a good start as well. Not being funny, they're going to get that point against Milan and beating PSG. That you can't get a better start than that.
Exactly. The two defeats to Dortmund will have cost them. So I think we'll get something from that game, and I do believe we are capable of getting something Sunday.
I love this positivity. I really thought today would be a therapy session. We'll all kind of go, what I was thinking yesterday, we're going to be about mid-table come January, but I love the positivity because when I asked that question, like even before that Aston Villa game, I got a lot of 1s, a lot of 2s, a lot of 3s. So it's a big difference and I'm absolutely loving it. Peter, can you keep up the positivity?
You know what I will? I think we can get 10 points out of the possible 15. I think we'll beat Everton and Forest. And then I can see us being one of West Ham and Newcastle. I'm not sure which one. I think we'll win one and draw one of them. I'm leaning more to us beating West Ham at home, I think.
Are you?
Well, Newcastle's at home. Newcastle's at home as well.
Both of them at home.
And they don't travel well. They've not travelled well this season. A bit like Aston Villa yesterday. And you can see why they've struggled away from home.
Yeah. But I mean, they are starting to get a few of their key players back with Isak,
and he looks ready to go as well.
Yeah.
But for me, looking at the fixtures, I don't often give how many points I think we're going to get, but I'm going to. Manchester City, I think we'll lose. West Ham at home, I think it'll be tough, but I think we can win that. So that's 3 points. Newcastle will be tough. I think Isak back, I think we get a point. So that's 4. Forest away, just lost the first game away from home. I don't think that'll be easy. I'm going to go with the point realistically. That's 5. Then Everton at home. 3 points, I think. So what about 8 points? So it's not as positive as yours. So hopefully you're right. I'm wrong. So as far as I'm concerned, I hope that's right. Before we get on to the questions for the people put forward for the podcast earlier, because there is so many. So massive thank you to. There's a lot of people actually in here, more than we usually have. We're in double figures, so thank you for that. I want to talk about the Times' 2-year investigation into the Defoe transfer. So Mark, coming to you first, will we face a punishment for this? Do you think, or is it just ridiculous?
No, this is just a journalist digging up a nonsense story. It's already been investigated by the FA. The FA have said if there is any new evidence, then they'll reopen the case and look at it again. What's going to come to light 15 years later? Surely they've got better things to do. City, Chelsea, just to name a couple. But I can't see this going anywhere.
Well, I hope you're right. I do hope you're right. But it wouldn't surprise me though. I don't know about you with the Premier League. Give us a points deduction or a fine before they get to Manchester City or Chelsea, which they should be worrying about. I know it's more charges. They should be all over that, and I don't believe they are. Always looking to punish some clubs, but hey ho. Kallum, So, talk to me about this. We again briefly discussed it, but I don't think in depth. Are you worried about this? Do you think it kind of blow over? And because obviously they gave Everton that points deduction, we knew that there's going to be a lot of stories out. So the Times claim they've done it for 2 years. But isn't it a coincidence though that it's come out now?
It definitely sounds like someone at Everton has literally gone, right, we got scrimped for the Richarlison deal, so we're going to dose Spurs over with something, give it to the Times. But it was it's one of them where if something does happen, what are you going to get? Maybe a fine for that, because the rest of it's about financial fair play issues. We'll have to wait and see, though, because if there is any evidence, like Mark said, if the FA do reopen it, they're going to mess with their own panel that reviewed it back in 2008, 2009. So the FA don't really like going back on themselves because it makes them look like a bunch of idiots.
Well, they are. Let's face it. So they don't want to face the reality. I'm sorry.
I was trying to be nice and moderate. You asked me to be nice.
I'm going to say how it is there. They are. They don't like it. That's the problem we've got right now. But no. Nicely said. You know, you're leading by example. I should know better, shouldn't I? Peter, will anything come of this, do you think? Or like, you know, I asked Kallum, will it blow over? Because we expected a lot of speculation.
Yeah, I think it'll just blow over. I mean, it was how many years ago? 15 years ago?
Before I was born, so there you go.
Yeah.
It's a long while ago.
They must have already looked at it already, seen there was nothing too wrong about it. So, I don't know. I think the most we'll get is a fine. I don't think we'll get points deduction like Everton, but you never know with the FA, do you?
Financial fair play
you don't know
in at that point.
I don't know what you think. I don't think I agree with financial fair play. Again, I think it punishes the small clubs and benefits the big clubs.
But it's all right. Everton, there's probably more chance of them not building their stadium now that they've got the points deduction. So they're just going to end up with.
I know there's not much money spent, but they've got to do something with that. I think they're going to do it.
Let's put it this way: it's going to be a big duck pond at the moment. The ducks are going to enjoy it on the side of the river instead of anything else because they ain't got the money to finish it.
It's nearly finished.
It's over. It's
actually they're in their last season at Goodison Park. This is their last season at Goodison.
They're expecting it to be done by the end of the summer, which is, to be fair, they started later. But they've really, moved forward that time. They've got on with it, to be fair. They've really focused in now. That's why I kind of feel sorry for them. They've invested a lot. They've made lots of losses. For me, they've done wrong. A fine is realistic, a small fine, but a points deduction, for me anyway, a minor breach is an over-exaggeration. But we see where that gets overturned. It'd be very interesting to see. But now moving on to the questions that people put forth for the podcast earlier. Thank you for your patience. There's a lot of them today. So, wow, I'm really impressed with the amount. So thank you very much. The first question, I'm going to get to you, Kallum. At least got your name then. That would have been awful. Sammy says, do you reckon we'll finish above Chelsea?
Yes.
Simple answer, yes. Well, I hope you're right. Let's bring up this comment. Do you believe we perform against City with no Harry Kane? What do you reckon, Mark?
Yeah, I think so. I think we are capable. I think I had a very interesting debate with some people on Facebook this week. Someone posed the question, for those saying that we're better without Kane, you're all mad. And I sort of analysed that, and I don't think we're better, but we're more dangerous. Because there are chances and attacks and potential coming from so many different sources now. Whereas before it was Son or Kane or no one, basically.
Yeah. I don't think it's fair to say we're better without Kane. However, I think
he'd have had a field
other
day
individuals
yesterday.
have responsibility to step up, which is help. So in terms of the collective, the team, it's been I don't even say a positive thing, if you like. But of course, Harry Kane's in this score more goals. It's simple.
Yeah. But we've got better players now. Van de Ven and Romero and Doggy and Porro and Maddison and Bissouma and so the better players. Put Kane in there, we would be even better. But we don't need to go over that now.
No, exactly. Does anyone know who this is? I don't.
Never heard of him before.
Never heard him. Very, very sorry. But if you could let us know. Hey?
I'll do a bit of digging. I've got the phone.
Yeah, go on. We'll come back to that. We're going to move on, but we will come back to that if we find anything about that. Peter, I will give you the next question, though. It's from It's Abs Mate on Twitter. who says, "Why are so many fans against using younger players like Donnelly, Dorrington, Mikey Moore, etc.?" So, why do you reckon that is?
They say the fans are against using the youngsters.
Yeah, that's what he's claiming. Why so many fans against it?
Oh. I would have said maybe the opposite. I would have thought that the fans are maybe wanting the youngsters to maybe come onto the pitch, show what they're capable of. Because I thought maybe yesterday would have been a bit better to see maybe a Jamie Donnelly come on instead of Oliver Skipp, who I thought was maybe a bit ineffective yesterday.
I think that's what it alludes to, is that that he didn't bring Donnelly on when he brought Skipp on. But
Yeah.
to be honest, and I said this a few hours ago, I just don't think they're quite ready to be brought into a depleted squad chasing a game. I think it could do more harm than good. They'll tell you they're ready. The boys will tell you they're ready. I've seen a lot of the under-21s this season. I've had a chat with a couple of the dads of some of the under-21 players who are all at the games, and they're pushing to be in the first team. But if you think that they didn't feel that Divine was ready, and he's gone out on loan and is actually ripping it up at Port Vale, who is struggling.
Yeah.
Is Donnelly ready? He's probably more ready than Alfie Dorrington.
But the thing is, we don't know if these players are ready unless we chuck them in there. We've got injury problems at the moment. I've been finding Manchester City are going to lose anyway. Give it a go.
I agree with you to an extent, but you have to
don't play all of them. I wasn't suggesting that, but like the likes of Dorrington for me.
Okay, had we taken our chances early doors yesterday, and we'd have been 3-1 up or 3-0 up or something like that with 15, 20 minutes to go.
True.
That's when you bring them on and you give them those first 10, 15 minutes.
At the same time, Mark, I don't want it to be done like we saw the second round of the Carabao Cup against Fulham. We get knocked out. So the way we do it at this club under any manager, for me, is really poor in terms of time management.
I think if you play them in the third round of the cup, say we get a League One or League Two side, you play them in the third round of the cup. You don't make 10 changes. You make 2 changes. I think that was the problem at Fulham. You're playing away at a Premier League club in a London derby,
club, and you make 9-10 changes.
And you make 10 changes. It's bonkers.
Unless you're Manchester City, and you don't win that.
No, and we lost on penalties. I mean, it wasn't as if we lost the game.
Right as well. Yeah. But for me, that's Angie's probably one and only, but the big mistake he's made so far. Kallum, I'm going to give the next question to you from Luca. Really, really simple question, but can be answered in so many different ways, I suppose. What went wrong yesterday?
Where do we start? Not team selection, but definitely finishing was bad. Lack of cohesion and consistency with refereeing decisions. A weak mentality at times from the Spurs squad. And like Mark said, a lack of taking any sort of consistency throughout the game and just tiring out. We just look depleted. So what can you say? We've come off the back of an international break and haven't done what we needed to do. So a multitude of things, mate, not just one thing and not just one or two.
Yeah, no, thank you very much, Kallum. Mark, I'm going to give the next question to you from Thomas. We have kind of answered the question, but it's kind of worded in a different way, so I'm still going to put it to you. Thomas says, how many losses do you think we'd get in a row now? Because obviously our next games is City, West Ham and Newcastle. So at the moment, let me try and put this in a different way. 3 losses in a row. How many will it mount up to? You think we're going to beat City, so you're sticking with 3?
No, I'd say it won't go past 4.
Won't go past 4. Well, I hope not.
Won't go past 4. So I think if we do lose to City, and most people expect us to, I think we'll get something out of the game. But if we don't, I think we'll win the one after that, which is West Ham. I want to say, or is it Newcastle?
It's West Ham at home.
It's West Ham.
Is that midweek?
Yeah,
I think it's a Thursday night.
It's been moved, I think, to be televised.
Oh, it's
something like it's been moved from the Thursday to the Tuesday or the other way around, but it's still in the week. Yeah,
it's Amazon Prime.
I know. Well, probably.
Tuesday. It's Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. It's Amazon Prime week.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those days. It was moved. I think it was originally going to be a Monday or Friday night. It was definitely moved by a couple of days because I had to sell the tickets because I couldn't make it. And then too late, I've sold it and I can make it now. But one of those things could be a good thing. Who knows? Peter, I can give the next question to you from Arib. Apologies if I said your name incorrectly, Arib. Arib says, do you think Angie's subs negatively affected the game yesterday?
I love Ange and I trust him for what we're going to do with this process. But I do think the subs he put on were maybe a bit too late or a bit too ineffective. I mean, subbing on Skip when we need a goal was a bit uninspiring, to be honest, especially when we've got Veliz and Donnelly on the bench. I know they're inexperienced, but then they're never going to learn if you don't give them the opportunity. So
that's very true.
Even if we kept Kulusevski in the middle, or maybe pushed Son out right, and maybe had Veliz, who was an aerial threat, and brought him on instead of subbing off Lo Celso in the 70th minute for Skip, I think it was a bit uninspiring. But I wouldn't say it cost us the game because we just never really looked like scoring after the 70th minute, really.
No, exactly. I completely agree with you. Kallum, next question to you. This is from an Arsenal fan, right? Bearing in mind so you can tell the way it's worded. Do you think Angie's comments on not complaining about referees will make him look like an easy target and manipulate ref decisions out of your favour? It feels like I can't say the word. Benefits PGML rather than Spurs. Oh, interesting.
It's such a difficult one, mate, because Ange is an old breed of manager who's got a conscience and doesn't go around barking and complaining all the time, compared to some people like Klopp and Guardiola who like to have a narrative to everything that they do. It's all got to be the theatre show. I'd rather just leave him back down the road. Just south the river, where you belong. South the river, there you go. That's nice for you. But the problem is that when you've got a narrative and you set a precedent, then you just become a theatrical case. You might as well just be on a stage. Whereas Ange is composed, he's trying his best to get around it. But I don't disagree that, there's only so long you can go with refereeing decisions being not questioned as such. And, we've questioned VAR, we've questioned refs. So there's only so long I think that Ange will go along with it before he may start to get a narrative going with that, to be honest.
Okay, fair enough. There's one question here that I don't understand from Ray. So what I'm trying to understand and word it, because it's worded, wow. Very, lots of words from the English language in there, but we're going for the other question first. Peter, going to ask you this from Vice, again, another Arsenal fan. Is Ange's lack of flexibility, we're often a dig at Ange here, in tactics, the last 3 games costing Spurs?
Lack of flexibility. I mean, that's one way to put it. I mean, I don't think it has cost us. I mean, if you're looking at the last 3 games, the Chelsea game, you could argue maybe the high line was the wrong decision, but I'd argue it was the right decision because if you think about it, we had 2 or 3 chances to equalise and make it 2-2, and it's a completely different narrative. We come away from a draw with 9 men rather than losing the 4-1. So I don't think it's lack of flexibility that cost him there. I also think maybe lack of concentration cost us in the Wolves game. Conceding twice in additional time I don't think it's down to lack of flexibility, and
that's mentality, isn't it?
Yeah, and again yesterday, I think Ange coached the win yesterday. I just think we were maybe trying to walk it in too many times. Brian Gill maybe not getting a shot away.
We're looking for that perfect move, aren't we, Peter?
Yeah. I wouldn't say it was a lack of flexibility though on Ange's behalf.
Not for me, not the Villa game. Maybe the Chelsea game with the back line, I can understand that. So there you go. I'm wondering if it was you, mate, considering your comment. Thank you very much, because you're an Arsenal fan, the only one in here at the moment. So there you go. This is an interesting question from Ray. Ray, I love you tuning in. I love your questions, but you've really got me thinking on a Monday, and that's not a good thing to do. So if anyone can answer this question, go for it.
That's dangerous. That's dangerous.
Very dangerous, yeah. I'm going to read it out. So if anyone can answer this, go for it, because I certainly can't. Spurs win the Champions League next year, but for this to happen, you are only ever able to say nah, mate, for any type of no answer. and for sure for a yes during the entire year. This is even in serious and professional situations, and nobody knows the reasons why. Do you do this? Wow.
I'd rather be in a coma for a year. I'm not going to lie, mate. Do it for a favour.
Basically, would you to win the Champions League, would you sacrifice like having to like almost like a robotically generate like that nah mate, and for sure every time that someone's speaking to you, so you'll never be able to have a conversation again, but Spurs win the Champions League, basically? What do you reckon? I don't know what to say. I can't. It's completely baffled me.
It's a weird question.
I mean, for Spurs to win the Champions League, I mean, I kind of have to say yeah, don't I?
Well, there you go. But yeah, Ray, thank you in a way for the challenging question, but you have certainly got me thinking. I'm going to be thinking about that for the rest of the day now. But no, it's a great question. But that kind of wraps us up for today's show. Wow, crazy question. Let me know if I missed any questions in the chat from earlier, but I do think that's it. Oh no, there's one more. Joe, I'm going to bring it up one more. I'm going to ask everyone this actually first. So coming to you first, Peter. Lucas says, what do you guys think about the possibility of signing Jota, the ex-Celtic winger, obviously played under Ange? What do you reckon, Peter?
Well, being completely honest, I've never really watched much of Celtics. I don't know how he is as a player, but I've heard and seen that Ange quite likes him as a player, and he clearly wants him. So if we can get him on a free transfer that has been speculated in January, I think it's an absolute must, really, because the depth we've got in the attack, especially we've got all these injuries right now, it's a bit depleted. So maybe a different type of player in Jota could be what really helps us maybe get top four.
Yeah, no, I absolutely hope you're right. Mark, what do you reckon with this?
I mean, I've seen a little bit of him, but I've spoken to a few Celtic supporting friends, and they really loved him. They said he's a really, really good player, good work rate, knows the system, knows Ange. I agree with Peter that no Perisic, no Solomon until we don't even know. We don't even know if he's still alive. He hasn't been mentioned in any press conference since he got injured. I'm not sure Hill's the answer on the left-hand side. I like Brian Hill, and I think he's technically a very good player. Just not sure where to put him. So you've got three bits of the left side of the attack, all either injured, struggling, or missing. Perisic will be gone in January. That'll be a space that opens up in the squad. I think Lloris will be released in January as well. They'll pay him off the rest of his contract so he can go wherever. So there'll be a couple of overseas spots that will come up. And you could probably lose one of the other goalkeepers as well. And just name one of the under-21s. Luka Gunter can be the third goalkeeper if needs be. So I think there's definitely potential to sign someone like Jota. I'd argue a centre-back, backup centre-back is just as important.
Absolutely. For me, though, Mark, not being funny, but if it's for free, it's a no-brainer. It's the same with Solomon.
Yeah.
As a good squad player, will have an impact. And see, we've got to look about the long-term vision, and fans don't often realise this, right? It's not just about now and to help us this season, because next season as well. Ideally, we want to be playing in Europe. Hopefully, the Champions League, but regardless, in Europe, unless something goes dramatically wrong, the form we're seeing now continues. We could be back in Europe next season, and we need that squad depth. We've got the numbers in terms of squad depth, but not actually that depth. We've got the personnel, but not that physical depth. So you've got to get players out. So I completely understand if Levy's looking at it going, no players come in until players go out, because the squad is so big, but therefore you need to rip up contracts and pay them off. It's not nice. It's the last result, but with Lloris, we didn't move him on in the summer. He's not going to be used. If we had Forster got injured, Vicario got injured, I still don't think Lloris would be used. And
neither do I.
That's crazy, isn't it? It's not going to happen either. So we don't need him here. Sessegnon and Perisic, I expect, and should be departing as well. So players out and in is equally important.
I think in terms of squad quality, we've probably got 14.
Yeah, it's worrying.
And that's the problem.
Mark, we're struggling now, and we're not in Europe. Look at teams in Europe, Brighton, for example, Newcastle, for example, Man United, they're suffering. In particular, Newcastle and Man United will probably be exiting their groups, if not finishing bottom of their group, because of this. And they're struggling in the Premier League as well. So this is where you need to
Eddie Howe in his presser earlier on said they're missing 14 players for the trip to Paris. And they've got Isak back. So they've obviously got more injuries from the weekend.
Willock and Almiron are the latest two, aren't they?
Yeah.
And I heard a rumour about the Cells. Yeah, they've got loads. So it isn't just us, but for us, it seems like we've got obviously important players out as well. And we haven't got that squad depth. Even Newcastle got more squad depth than us, I think. So, okay, they're planning for it. But Kallum, can you just answer this question before we wrap up for today's show?
The problem I see with him is attitude, because a lot of the stuff that's come out of Saudi and even from Celtic fans I've spoken to, he did have an attitude. He was a pain in the backside at times, and that's why they say that he's not sort of with, I think, is it Al Hilal or someone that he's with, that he's under contract with. So I don't know. Ange might want him, but I think there's too much risk to it, mate. And I mean, what must his wages be as well to come from Saudi? He's probably on about 250 grand a week, and he's definitely not worth that as a player. So I'd rather steer clear and go for someone else. There's better players out there. I think there's more interesting players as well than someone who can't even make it in Saudi.
Yeah. Okay, fair enough. I think that kind of wraps us up for today's show. So massive thank you to the questions, because wow, there was a lot of them. So if any, one of you three want to take credit for that for coming on, feel free, because I don't usually get that much. So thank you very much to whoever that was.
I think Peter brought his own fan club.
I think it was Peter.
Yeah, so Peter's got a busload of them sitting behind him at the moment.
To be fair, Peter's spaces are good, so I can absolutely see that. I always try and treat it like
Thank you.
It's completely reasonable and definitely deserve that. But thank you very much for today's show. Massive thank you to you three, absolutely fabulous. Firstly, Kallum, fellow co-host and Park Lane Podcast. Where can people find you and talk to us about Park Lane Podcast?
Always Park Lane Podcast on Twitter. Obviously, me and H are usually on there every Sunday night as much as possible, or behind the games. Obviously, our co-hosts are doing a FIFA series, so if you are interested in watching them play as well, they're interested. Some of them have some interesting skills, let's put it this way. But yeah, so you can find me on most Sundays on Park Lane and always on Twitter. So if anyone wants to give me a shout or DM me and have a chat, go for it.
Quite like a discussion and debate, don't you, Kallum? We have quite a few ourselves.
Exactly, mate. Exactly.
Sometimes in Costa, sometimes online. But no, Callum's always down for debate. So massive thank you, Kallum, for coming on. Once again, Mark as well, first time on the show. Thank you very much for coming on. I hope you enjoyed that. Where can people find you on social media? Great fun.
On Twitter, or X as you may want to call it, at Marc Spurs, always Twitter, at Marc Spurs. Just thought I'd update you. Fulham are leading Wolves 2-1.
Thank you very much.
Ah, crap.
And there are now only 4 teams. There are only 4 teams in the Premier League that haven't been awarded a penalty as of this evening, because Fulham have just scored from a penalty, so they were one of the 5. We're one of the 4 that's left.
That's an interesting game, though, isn't it, between Fulham and Wolves? It's not being funny. It's 2 teams that could be, Fulham getting dragged potentially into it. Wolves have done well, but they're still going to be in and around there. So 2-1 Fulham at the moment.
But as I said, to answer your question, at Marc Spurs on Twitter.
Thank you very much, and also making these first appearance, first time on the show. Absolute pleasure to have on. I'm very keen to get back. Peter, thank you very much. Where can people find you on social media? Because I'm certainly interested.
Thank you so much for having me. First of all, it's been an absolute pleasure coming on. Twitter, you can find me Porro SZN or Porro SZN as it's read out. Where, as you touched upon earlier, I do host a few Twitter spaces. So thank you for honestly having me on today.
Oh, it's fabulous. Go check those Twitter spaces out. Absolutely fantastic. Go on for a long time. Amazing discussions. You always go out of it thinking, do you know what, I've learned something, or I feel more positive, and that's what's great. So
Yeah.
keep up the great work, Peter.
Thank you.
If you want to follow me, you can there, Harry Scar 22. Not gonna lie, not bothered if you don't. It's not gonna hurt my feelings. Most importantly, though, Joe, check these guys out on social media. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Hit that notifications bell on. If you are listening on any other podcast platform, don't forget to give us a follow and 5-star review. Check out Wednesday, where I sat down with our new partner, Security VPN, Dan, the founder and host, if you like. So go check that out. It's coming out Wednesday with a new, I'm trying not to give it away here, but a special discount over Christmas. So thank you very much. But as we always say on this show, win, lose or draw, come on you Spurs.